Okay, so we are online and live. This is live streaming now. The people can watch, the public can watch it from anywhere on YouTube as well as on Google Plus. So I encourage you to.
No naughty words.
What is that?
I say
Not
no
good. Yes,
naughty
yeah,
words. You are
exactly.
live.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so somebody is trying to contact me now. Let me check who this guy. Uh, okay, so. Welcome to the International Online Dialogue on Presidential Election of Sri Lanka 2015. Now I will very quickly give you some ideas about, or maybe the objectives or the background for this session. In fact, this is the first this kind of session. Yeah. So for Sri Lanka. And also there are different reasons now. As we know, this is a way of sharing ideas of each one of you, because we consider ourselves as a network of professionals, Sri Lankans as well as Sri Lankans, people who are friends of Sri Lanka, people like Chris. So the idea is to share different experience, ideas about general political situation in the country as well as on the presidential election, and also what we can expect, or what are our visualization about Sri Lanka after the election. Now, in addition to that, we have seen in the election campaign a lot of technological applications, like you streaming, rallies are streamed online, a lot of social media campaigning, but those I've been actually doing research on this from 2009, but even up to now, the application, the technological application, mainly one way. So the idea is to communicate to a larger audience using technology by the candidates, and also this is mainly towards Sinhala or Tamil audiences. But our purpose is try to use this technology as an interactive technology where people can share ideas in an equal footing. So it's a two-way communication. Now, there is another reason why we are having these difficulties, because still people are really not familiar with this kind of technology, and also even though they are familiar, they have difficulties of connection due to maybe low bandwidth or other technical obstacles. So we are trying to do something as example for the future. I hope maybe for next election campaigners, they should use things like Google Hangouts, particularly to talk to audience out of the physical boundaries. Now this will be online video, YouTube video. At the moment it's streamed on Google Plus as well as on YouTube, but this will also be recorded as a YouTube video. So I encourage you to use this opportunity to maximum to share your opinions and ideas. Not only it is to people who are connected now, but also for the people who will watch them later. So those are the main reasons for our discussion or forum today. But now I want to emphasize, this is not a political campaigning, or this is not a political debate. So this is more or less like a professional discussion on the subject of politics with the focus of Sri Lankan presidential election. So I request you to communicate and organize your idea more in a professional manner than political campaigning. Maybe every one of us, we have our own political influence or whatever it is, but then the idea here is to you are free to express that, but please be careful not to attack oppositions or the candidates or any party, even though you're in Sri Lanka or outside, but make your opinion in a professional and dignified manner. Okay, any other contributions or questions actually? Now I want you to introduce yourself very quickly, but before that, do you have any questions about what we are going to do, about our kind of guidelines? Okay. My name is Chaminda Hettiarachchi. I am based in Sri Lanka. I work as a researcher as well as a analyst on political science and few other subjects in management studies. And I am running my own organization, and I do teach here. So the idea is to to test and share my experience with people like you from different parts of the world. So maybe we can have a very quick introduction, starting from Chris.
Okay, hello, my name is Chris Hutchison. I have 40 years experience in organizations, management and marketing, promotions here in the UK, where I speak to you from. And my interest in Sri Lankan politics and social issues come from the fact I spent 1 year in Sri Lanka post-tsunami reconstruction projects. But since then, in 2008-9, I have stayed in close contact through social media and other things in order to remain quite well informed about things that are happening in Sri Lanka. So I have been watching the presidential debate with great interest over the recent weeks.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Now next we have Dimut. Dimut, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Yeah, okay. Hello, here is Dimut from Berlin. I am living in Berlin more than 10 years now. I am a computer engineer. Now I am working for a Deutsche Telekom. I am very interesting for the current situation in Sri Lanka, especially in politics situation, because I am demanding for the democratic government and democratic solution for the ethnic problem. That's why I am here to have a discussion.
Okay, Dimut. Yeah, thank you very much, Dimut. Now, since you, as I understand, since you are in Germany, I know that you are working mainly in German. So unfortunately, we are not really ready to handle that. So you are okay if you I mean, it's all right for us if you speak also in Sinhala. If you won't really say something which you're more comfortable Sinhala, you can use Sinhala also. But I'm sorry that we don't have Tamil or German as expertise subjects. So, but you are free to speak in Sinhala because there will be people who will be listening to you later also.
Okay, that is better. Thanks.
Okay, good. And as Chris understand very well Sinhala, so it's all right.
Oh, everything.
Exactly. Nishan?
Yes, sir.
Nishan, your mic is muted. Nishan, are you there? I think he has a connection problem. You come back to Nishan. Pubudu, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi everyone. I am Pubudu Senaratna joining from Colombo, Sri Lanka. I'm a psychologist and a lecturer. I'm very much interested to join this session basically because of the current political scenario in Sri Lanka. I think this is a very decisive moment when it comes to political history. Usually I'm not a person who is very much interested in politics, but at this moment I'm very much interested and motivated because I think there will be a change and that will be a historical change. So in that sense I'm really glad to join this session, and yeah, it's nice to be here.
Thank you, Pubudu. What about Nishan? Nishan, idea? Somebody's messaging me. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. Right. So yeah. Okay. So now, based on the experience we have had in this scenario in presidential election, I have prepared some kind of guiding questions to keep our focus intact. So I will like ask each question. There are a few questions, I think about 5 questions, but you are free to also talk different things. But I will try to guide based on those questions. so that we can keep the focus. And also now you don't have to really answer all the questions if you don't have expertise or interest, or if you really don't want to answer. That is fine. But I will try to go question by question. Let me open it. But I can ask the first question now. What do you think about Sri Lankan situation, current political environment here, the political, I don't know, dynamics or situation or political, I don't know, can you fever? So any ideas or your own experience? Anybody can answer. Chris, what do you think in online? How do you yeah?
My view is, and I speak from England, that claims to have the oldest democracy in the world, that as Sri Lanka is an emerging economy, and that in so many areas of education and commerce and your sociological development, you have made huge progress in the last few decades. And it is easy to overlook that you are also making huge progress in the democracy that you have and the way your country is governed. So I think the election process is, in a sense, a little test of how developed Sri Lankan politics are becoming in the sophistication. Chaminda is already talking about the sophistication of means of communication, because the people who win elections are the best communicators. It doesn't mean they tell the truth, but it means they are the best communicators. And to see this improve, I have not been in your country during an election, but I have viewed it from afar. And it is interesting that there is a maturity and a technological development which is very encouraging when viewed from Europe. Chaminda, you have your picture muted. Your sound muted.
I was asking, I think you can hear now. I was asking now, what about like the British media coverage? How, if there kind of sufficient coverage, and how it is like covering Sri Lankan election? Can you do some ideas on that?
The British media view Sri Lanka in like through the wrong end of a telescope. They have just a very narrow view of some things. They see it as a very beautiful tourist destination. They see it as a country with unanswered questions about the way the war in the north came to a close, and there is a strong feeling mirrored by the media. We all know about the Channel 4 and everything, but other channels who feel that there is still questions that need to be answered. And the media, the BBC, in recent weeks has portrayed your president as someone who may have made a mistake in calling a snap election, because they are taking the view that it was a gamble that may look as though it will not pay off.
Chris, for your contribution. Now, would you like to share your experience or your environment about Sri Lankan politics in Germany, in German media, and in general, how it is perceived by Sri Lankans in Germany and German media in general, and on your own opinion about politics?
මම සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න. ජර්මන් මීඩියා වල නම් කිසිම ලංකාව පිළිබඳ සඳහනක් නැහැ මේ අවස්ථාවේදී නම්. පෞද්ගලික දවස් ටිකේ මාධ්‍ය ලංකාව පිළිබඳ එකම සඳහනක් වුණේ ලංකාවේ වැස්සෙන් වතුර ගලපු වෙලාවේ පොඩ්ඩක් ඒ ගැන කිව්වා ණය ගියපු වග විතරක්. නැත්නම් ලංකාවේ ඉලෙක්ෂන් එක පිළිබඳ කිසිම හැඳින්වීමක් නැහැ ජර්මන් මාධ්‍යයේ මේ දවස්වල. අනිත් දේ තමයි මේ ලාංකිකයෝ ඉන්න ලාංකිකයෝ අතරවත් ලොකු සාකච්ඡාවක් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ තියෙන තත්ත්වයේ වෙනසකටවත් මයින්ඩ්ට උදව් කිරීමට හරි මෛත්‍රීට උදව් කිරීමට පිළිබඳව ලාංකිකයන් අතරේ ලොකු සංවාදයක් ඇතිවන්නේත් නැහැ මේ අවස්ථාවේදී.
ඔයාගේ මොනවද අදහස්? ඔය කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ සිටුේෂන් එක ඔයාලා බලන ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකේම
ලංකාවේ මේ වෙලාවේ ඇතිලා තියෙන තත්ත්වය ඉතාම හොඳ තත්ත්වයක්. මොකද මේක තව අවුරුදු දෙකක් වෙනකල් බලන්න හිටියානම් මේ තිබෙන තත්ත්වයට වඩා තවත් අන්ත තත්ත්වයකටපත් වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා දැන්ට ඇතිලා තියෙන අලුත් තත්ත්වය ඉතාම යහපත් තත්ත්වයක්. මේ අවස්ථාව අපි හැමෝම උපයෝග කරගන්න ඕනේ වෙනසක් සඳහා. 100%ක්ම හැම දෙයක්ම හොඳ වෙන එකක් නෑ. නමුත් අලුත් වෙනසක් වීම රටට මේ වෙලාවේ අවශ්‍යයි. රටේ දේශපාලන තත්ත්වය ඉතාම පිරිහීමකටපත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. රටේ පොලිසිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නීති පද්ධතිය කඩා වැටිලා මේ සියලු දේ නිසා අලුත් වෙනසක් සිදු විය යුතුයි. තරුණ පරම්පරාවට මීට වඩා දේශපාලන පිළිබඳව කතා කරන්න ඕනේ. රටේ තියෙන තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව අවබෝධයෙන් ඉන්න ඕනේ. බොරු බිල්ලම වාගෙන වැඩ නොකර ඒක අටවෙනිදට ගිහිල්ලා තමන්ගේ ඡන්දය ප්‍රකාශ කළ යුතුයි.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk about those things also in a little bit later. So Dimuth has not really a very good opinion about existing democracy in the country, but he is posing that should change. Therefore, people should be active politically and people will vote for democracy. Okay, now we'll talk. Gayan is there. Gayan Srinath, can you hear us? If you can hear, please, you can share your ideas. I think Gayan is still stuck. You can type. If you don't hear, you can't talk. You can type if you miss the opportunity. You can chat actually. Okay. Then we have Nishan. Nishan, if you can hear, please share your opinions about Sri Lankan current political situation. Unmute your mic and speak. So, Srinath, can you speak? So even though we say we have very good internet connections and we are a connected society now, we see the real difficulties. A lot of people are connected with 3G connections, but when it comes to real dialogue, there are complications. So if you don't have real fast connection, and if you're out of Colombo, and if you're trying to connect with 3G,
hear me?
Yeah, who's speaking there? Srinath, yeah. Srinath, can you share your ideas about Sri Lankan current political situation? How you first see that? Srinath and Nishan, your connections are very weak. You get disconnected and connected. I don't know whether you can continue this way. You can type. Nishan, you can also speak if you can hear. Okay, Prabhuti is also not available, I think. Okay, so let me also share some of my ideas till others join. Now, I think actually now, as both of you mentioned, now we have a very dynamic situation because there's a real activism by activation of the public, particularly the people who are from the opposition. Now they have been to some enthusiasm by the public and the voters. But also there are there's a huge media coverage. Even the normal life has almost like stopped because of the election. That's why I said the word fever. This is very common to Sri Lankan society. Now, two things are like negative. main issue is the violence. There has been a rise of violence, which also has been a practice for Sri Lankan elections. So I think the recently there was a few shooting as well as other types of violence. The second thing is now, even though it's good to see, a lot of when I say dynamism, it's there are a lot of enthusiasm, but you see very frequent defection, mainly to the opposition from the government, but also few the other side. Now, maybe some people can say that is a good thing. I also, to some extent, agree on that. At the same time, you hear a lot of complaints about buying out public representative parliamentarians. So there's a serious complaint about whether this the democracy in Sri Lanka is more like bargaining, or it's like for it's really a business, profitable business. So those are some of the main dimensions as I see. But for me, I think this is an inspirational situation. Now, for my own personal experience, for me, this is like what we saw in 1994 election, the presidential election, when Madam Chandrika Bandaranaike campaigned on this theme, end of sufferings and dawn of peace. So this was something similar to that. You have inspiration, you have dynamism, people are expecting for some change. So I see some kind of inspirational experience as I saw in 94 election. But again, as I told you, the government is very powerful, they are strong, they are campaigning in different formats and different forums. So we see a real competition. Okay, anybody want to add anything on the political situation in Sri Lanka? Srinath or Nishan?
And all of you can hear me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Speak a little bit louder, but we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as you told, now I also see some different dynamics. Now, in terms of the campaigning, now they both of them have like very strong
Bad connection. Please, you keep on typing.
using the social media.
I don't hear you. Anybody here? Gayan? Okay. So, Gayan, you have to type. Your connection is weak. Otherwise, we will get disturbed. So, please keep on typing in the chat. Okay. So, my second question is now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Nishan, are you there? Can you speak? Nishan, I don't think he can contribute very well because of his weak connection. Okay, so my second question is also open question. Now, we saw the concept of common candidate. Maithripala Sirisena emerged as a common candidate from nowhere within 2 months or like less than 6 weeks time. So, what are your opinions about Maithripala Sirisena as a common candidate? Is it a good thing? Is it bad? Is it confusing voters? So, any comments or any ideas if you want to share anything? We'll start with Srinath. You don't have to answer all the questions, huh? If you don't want. Okay, Chris says no. Dimut. No, sorry, if you say something different. Yeah, Dimut, yeah. Unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ඉතාම හොඳ තීරණයක්, ඉතාම රාශිගතව ගත්ත තීරණයක්. ඊට වඩා අනිත් දේ තමයි ඉදිරිපත් වීම ඉතාම ධෛර්යවන්තයි. කියන්නේ බය නැතුව ඉදිරිපත් වීම. මේ වෙලාවේ රට ඇතුලේ ගොඩාක් මිනිස්සු බයයි මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ රෙජිමේට විරුද්ධව ඉදිරියට එන්නේ. සිරිපා මෙයා මේ පැමිණීම මෛත්‍රී සිරිපාගේ එමෙතුමාගේ පැමිණීම ඉතාම නිර්භීත.
අපිට ප්‍රශ්න දෙකක් අහන්න ඕන දැන්. ඔතන දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කියන එකක් තමයි that he is a traitor from the, he has been in the administration for 10 years and he left without even informing the president. That's this famous Popper story that he defected in unethical way. So what do you think about the idea that he left without being officially? The second thing is he has been part of the administration for last nine years or something.
ඔව් ඒක ඔයා කියන දේ ඇත්ත. නමුත් ඒක වුණේ දවසින් දෙකින් නෙවෙයිනේ. මෛත්‍රීසිරිපාල සිල්වා රාජිත ඇමතුමා පාටලි රණවකේ හැමෝම කැබිනට් එක ඇතුලේ වෙනම සටනක් ගෙන ගියා. ඒක මිනිස්සු නොදැක්කට ඒගොල්ලෝ ඇතුලෙන් හැමතිස්සෙම ප්‍රශ්න කරා, විරුද්ධත්වය ප්‍රකාශ කළා. ඒක පිපිරීමක් හැටියට තමයි මෛත්‍රීසිරිපාල සිල්වා එළියට එන්නේ. ඒ නිසා
Maithripala Sirisena.
මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා එළියට එන්නේ ඒ පිපිරීමක් හැටියට තමයි කට්ටිය එකතු වෙලා. බුදු බලය මේ මුස්ලිම් මිනිස්සුන්ට ගාපු වෙලාවේ රාජිත ලොකු මේ විරෝධතාවයක් ප්‍රකාශ කරා. ඒ වෙලාවේ හිටි අලුත්ගම ඇමතිය හැටියට රාජිත මැතිතුමා ඔහු පිටරට ඉඳන් ලොකු ඉන්ටර්වියු දීලා ඒකේ විරෝධතාවය ප්‍රකාශ කරා. නමුත් රට ඇතුළට ගියයින් පස්සේ රටේ නීති ක්‍රියාත්මක නොවීම ඒ හැමදේ අතරතුරේදී බුදු බලයට විරුද්ධව ඔහු පෙනී සිටියා. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි අද එළියට ඇවිල්ලා මේ සටනට මේ උදව් මූලිකත්වය දෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා ඊටම වඩා හොඳ නැගිටීමක් කියලා මම නම් දකින්නේ.
Okay. Chris, do you have any idea about like the concept of common candidate? Is it is a good thing or bad thing, or any other ideas? Anybody else? Nishan? Srinath? Okay, I don't think they are. Okay, sorry. Now you can unmute yourself. Okay, when you speak, you automatically you will be unmuted, so you can speak. But you can unmute yourself also. Please unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. I can't hear you. Unmute. So Nishan and Srinath, I will not invite again you to talk. So when you can, you please talk. Otherwise, I don't know whether you can speak or not. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Yes, I am saying that let us not forget that when we talk about two candidates, that they both have one thing in common. Two things maybe in common. One is that they are politicians, and the second is they will say anything to get elected. We have one candidate who seems to be very good at projecting his image. Maybe he is more polished at using the media, and this might seem a very silly point to make, but the other candidate wears glasses and can easily be seen by the common people as an academic or as someone not from their circles. So maybe their physical appearance, but they are both very clever people at the media, and nowadays elections are won and lost by the ability to use the media.
Right. So we will talk about that a little bit later, but I think this is a very good point, because now one kind of a discussion is about the appearance and their personalities. Now, President Mahinda Rajapaksa is seen as the real Sri Lankan typical leader. They call him Maharaja or like the great king. So he looks nice, he looks very prosperous, and actually there are some people who's even explaining about his body, how can I say, appearance, like he has the royal looks. And on the other hand, where Maithripala Sirisena is seen as an average person, he's originally also from a rural area, and he claims himself like a son of
Do you think I look more like a king now? Am I more like a king? I have undone my tie.
I'm not sure. Since we have some respect to British Queen, so we will not comment on that. Okay. So the other thing is now it's really interesting. Now there was a kind of advertisement by Maithripala Sirisena. He said Nelson Mandela is not really royal looking, and Mahatma Gandhi is not royal looking. therefore, to run a country and to be a leader, you don't have to really be like, you know, the traditional, you don't have a strong traditional personality. I think that is really also is a very good point. But then now, when I contribute from my side, I can say now Maithripala Sirisena has been able to use his, let's say, humble background and personality to garner support among like more strong leaders like Chandrika Bandaranaike, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and all other leaders, because they are strong leaders, but whereas Maithripala Sirisena has been like traditionally he has been a provincial leader. He has not been like a very strong national leader. So that not the charismatic leadership or charisma on his personality has been actually a strength, because then he can ask people to focus on the principles and programs and the manifesto than positioning him as a strong charismatic leader. So that has been, I think, is a one strength of his alliance, because he is not trying to claim he is the most, you know, the charismatic leader. So this is something new in Sri Lankan political arena. I think people will also have to get used to not very handsome guy, not very charismatic person as their leader. Because if you look at the history of Sri Lankan presidents, they have always been like a strong personality, except D. Vijayatunga, who was actually appointed because of the assassination of President Premadasa. So this is the first time you see a normal person, a person of your own class or your own background is going to be your leader. So I think that is also a good point, and they really capitalize on that, saying that is the first time a real farmer's son is trying to be the first citizen of the country. And final point I want to say about what Dimit mentioned now, his the idea of Maithripala Sirisena as a common candidate has a very good strategic advantage, because the government was planning to, they were expecting either Chandrika Bandaranaike or Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Reverend Sobhita Thera, they were going to be a candidate. So they planned to attack them as the opposition candidate on them. So we heard that they invested a lot of money and prepared you know, a lot of negative campaigning on them. But suddenly the former general secretary of ruling party appeared as the candidate. So therefore they had to really refocus their strategies, which actually is really interesting, because they were not being able to come out with a new strategy to confront this your own guy. Now, even if you look at now, the main campaigns are by the government are based on all teams, on international conspiracy, LTT diaspora support, and what is the third one? Main one, diaspora, LTT funding, and conspiracy. So, but these are not really applicable to Maithripala Sirisena, because he has been a part of the main social democratic politics in Sri Lanka. So people don't really believe that he is an agent of international agendas, even though they are trying to work hard. So I think it is really a good strategy by policy makers or strategy makers from the opposition to have a person like Maithripala Sirisena as the common candidate. Any other comment from anybody on this discussion on common candidate?
I would like to just add to what you have just said, Chaminda, that most of the people who will cast a vote for the president are not people who are in Google Hangout. They are not people who are using a lot of social media, and many of them are not very literate. Therefore, it is the way a picture appears in a poster and the very first impressions that people get that will be enough to secure a vote. And it will not be good enough to have the best ideas or the best policies. Ideas and policies will not make a big difference to many people who will make their vote.
Okay, I think this is, you are kind of dragging us to the third question. about the positioning or campaigning or marketing candidates. So I would like you to comment on presidential campaigns online, particularly online, as well as offline campaigning by both Maithripala Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa. What do you think? How do you analyze campaigning from both candidates? Srinath, do you want to comment first?
You would like me to do that now?
I think Srinath could talk. Right. Srinath? Nishan?
Okay, I'll take my chance.
Yes, go ahead.
I think, from social media campaign from the Maithripala Sirisena has on higher than the Mahinda and they're having some lagging part, but for because we can see some other who join with the Maithripala Sirisena and the other supporting persons will be encourage them to do a lot of things from the adding pictures, something so and so going on these days. Therefore, so many discussions on social media campaign also says, but the opposite, Mahinda Rajapaksa's supporting team says they are violating and they are misrepresenting their pictures and so and so. Therefore, but for the rural area campaign, when we see for the Mahinda campaign is more higher than the social media campaign because rural area having some literacy issue with the on IT side. Therefore, in Colombo area, there may be so many advantage for the Maithripala Sirisena for the online campaign. That's general background I can see. Any other comments?
Yeah, Srinath? Srinath is doing.
So want to add some comments. So based on the company which I work.
Mute. Your mic is muted. Please unmute it. Yes, Srinath. Unmute the mic and speak. Yeah. Srinath, now you can speak. The connection issue. Okay, Chris, you want to add something? You are the one who asked the question before me.
Well, we were talking about the ability of the candidates to use media and how many of the electorates, of the voters, do not have strong use of the media, and they make very quick judgments about the appearance of someone. One of the statistics which is interesting in the West, in Europe, is the percentage of people who have smartphones. Now, the usage of mobile telephony in Sri Lanka is become very high, but many of those telephones are very basic in their capability. That means that people's access to social media, like Facebook and other things, is very reduced. So I don't know to what extent the candidates are able to access a large part of the electorate by accessing smartphone technology.
Srinath?
Yeah. Yes, I also agree with that. Now, when it comes to campaign using social media, now I also actually seen a very active campaigning used by the both parties. Now, according to my analysis, now Maithripala Sirisena has very significant campaign now in Facebook. Now, so Mahinda Rajapaksa also has some traditional convention which he has been using for in 2010 presidential election up to now. But I didn't see anything new when it comes to campaigning strategies for Mahinda Rajapaksa. But when it comes to Maithripala, now he actually use so many pages when it comes to Facebook. So he has a Twitter, and also he uses the LinkedIn, because whereas Mahinda Rajapaksa didn't have the linking. So and also very significantly now I actually seen there's a anti-campaign and campaign in favor of both candidates. Now this is kind of a good indication now, whereas earlier we have not seen that anti-campaign. Now for anti-campaign there's a counter attack for this anti-campaign. Now if something post bad against Maithripala or else Mahinda Rajapaksa, there are people who comment favor or against that. This is a kind of a good indication, whereas these both candidate has one-way communication. So this platform has changed the way that the communication send it to their audiences.
මාත් යමක් කියන්නම්. අපි දේශපාලන කැම්පේන් එක දිහා බලද්දී දෙපැත්තම මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමාත් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ කැම්පේන් එක අතර අද දිනේ වැඩිපුරම මුදල් යොදාගෙන කරන ඡන්ද ව්‍යාපාරය මේ පෞද්ගලික කාලේ පුරාම සිදුවෙච්ච ව්‍යාපාර අතරින් මේක තමයි මේ ජනාධිපතිවරණය තමයි වැඩිපුරම මුදල් වියදම් කරේ. මේ ඒ වගේම වැඩිපුරම ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රයේ මුදල් ඇරියේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ පැත්තේ. උදාහරණයකට වඳුරප සිදුවීම. ඊට වඩා තරුණ කලාකරුවන්ට පාර දීම. මේ වගේ සිදුවීම් වලදී Facebook එක තුළ මම මගේ මිතුරන් අතරේ කොහොමද කතා වෙන්නේ කියලා බලද්දී ඒගොල්ලෝ කිසිම ඒ සිදුවෙච්ච සිදුවීම් පිළිබඳව කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ සිදුවීම් පස්සේ ඒක සමනලි මේ කොහොමද වීඩියෝ එකට පෙන්නේ සිටියේ ඒ වගේ දේවල් ගැන තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. ඉතින් එම නිසා ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට බලන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද මුදල් වියදම් කරේ, ඊට වඩා මොනවද කරුණු, මොනවද මේ දේශපාලන ප්‍රතිපත්ති මොනවද කියලා කතාවක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා ගැන ප්‍රශ්න කිරීමක් නැහැ. මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා කියන දින 100ක් ඇතුළත වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ගැන කතා කරනවා. නමුත් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ මුල් කැම්පේන් එක පුරාම තවමත් කරන්නේ රාජ්‍ය මාධ්‍ය යොදාගෙන මඩ ව්‍යාපාරයක් වගේම ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ගානේ යුද්ධ විකුණාගෙන කෑමක්. මම තමයි යුද්ධ දෙන්නේ. මම තනියෙන් යුද්ධයක් කළා වගේ තමයි බොහෝ විට කියන්නේ නේ. අනිත් දේ තමයි මේ සිදුවෙන මේ මැතිවරණ ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වයේ මුදා හැදීම පිළිබඳව කිසි සමාවක් ගැනීමක්වත් ඒ ගැන හෙලා දැකීමක්වත් ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයෙන් සිදුවන්නේ නැහැ.
Okay, thank you. It's a good contribution. Now I want to actually not to give my comments, but we have another guy, Mr. Lasit Gunawardhan, who is a PhD researcher from Japan, who is actually a lecturer from University of Sri Lanka. Since it's the time difference, he couldn't join, but he's sent some of his thoughts. I will read his thoughts particularly about what Dimut said about this electronic gossips. He says, I'll quote him, Lasit, I think the amount of interest on the election among social media users is unprecedented. However, I note that most of them are only spreading electronic gossips, simply sharing what they see in their newsfeed, either without thinking about its authenticity or ignorant. Photoshop pictures and pictures taken out of context are all over. Some of Photoshop edited documents have made their way over to the hands of politicians who have It's a shame that I have friends among my Facebook contacts who are sharing such information without considering that it affects the credibility of the poster. I have decided to block them from the news feed. However, if you look at the two leading candidates and their policies, going by past history, I don't think that majority of these promises are honored within the period of governance. There are enough excuses presented to slip out of the process later. Unless we have some politicians in the future who set an example of comparing what he or she promised and what was delivered at the end of the rule, I doubt whether it is utopian democracy will reach us. So So it's sad to see so much hatred, especially on racial, religious grounds, being spread to scare voters from voting for one party. So these are some of ideas from Lasik Gunawardena from Japan. Anybody want to comment on that, those ideas, because these are something similar to what Dimut said in Sinhala? Not really. It's a Facebook comment, so I wrote it down. Maybe I can post it when somebody's talking. Yeah, I can text post it there. Okay, but I wanted to say something on social media as well as offline campaigning. Now, I have been doing some research on social media campaigning of politicians along with Srinath and few other colleagues from 2009. Now, let me share one of these. The screen sharing. Let me try that one. Now, this is a presentation I did at Oxford University in 2000. Presidential media Maithripala and Sarath and their campaign. Now we look at how both of them use Facebook and Twitter. Now you have to remember that this is 2010 and Mahinda Rajapaksa had about 46,000 and Sarath Fonseca had 58,000. Mahinda Rajapaksa had Twitter, 77 Twitter followers and Sarath Fonseca had only 48. So these are like very primary stage of social media. Now what we saw that time was also Mahinda Rajapaksa is the serious, systematic, well-organized campaign on social media, whereas Sarath Fonseca's campaign was run by mainly the fans and the volunteers. So he created a good dynamics on social media, but and actually based on that findings or observation, I thought Sarath Fonseca will at least give a better fight, but what we saw was that he lost. So now, why we kind of couldn't predict that, because those days the representation of Facebook or social media fans were not really representing the voters in Sri Lanka. But therefore, that was more teenagers or people who are not based in Sri Lanka who are on the social media campaigning or social media discussions. But now I can say after 5 years, life has changed for Sri Lankan voters. Now I think Chris also asked about the figures. Now when we look at the immediate kind of statistics, some of the dynamics. Now we have almost 45% of illiteracy and more than 1,000% of mobile penetration. I'm not very sure about the smartphones, but they are also significant numbers. 40% of ICT access or internet access, about 30%. So there are about more than 1 million Facebook users, and there are more than 750 YouTube viewers per day. Now Mahinda Rajapaksa has 470,000 Facebook users and 88,000 Twitter followers. This was about 1 week ago. I think this has been increasing every day. Whereas Maithripala Sirisena, when we checked last time, had more than 207,000 followers on Facebook. It started with only 15,000 when he became the common candidate. So it was a significant number of increase. And now in Twitter he is smaller, about 3,000 followers. But again, it was started with 13 1 month ago. So you see, these are like high numbers. And now, if you compare that with the largest celebrity in Sri Lanka, Kumar Sangakkara, he has 2.9 million Facebook fans and 208,000 Twitter followers. So now social media penetration is high. They are very active. The users are active and they are very politically highly engaged. Now, some people can argue that people are not really connected from rural areas, but I think this is at least to represent urban voters, young voters. This is a real reflection on what is happening on the ground. And also, not only that, this is only like traditional social media, but now both candidates are using new technologies like online streaming, YouTube video discussions, and other social media tools to really reach out to the candidates as a part of their overall campaigning. So I would say with some confidence that social media is representing urban youth voters, and as some of you already mentioned, I think also Nishan mentioned that Maithripala Sirisena has won actually on social media campaigning because his campaign is driven by again the fans and the volunteers. It's not really centrally run campaign like what Mahinda Rajapaksa is doing. We heard that he has hired experts from India, but we have seen the on the dynamics during last 1 month that Mahinda Rajapaksa's campaign is being kind of secondary to Maithripala Sirisena, because now what people are forgot that it's not how much money you spend. You can maybe buy likes and you can reach more audience, but in social media, by the definition of its character, it should be driven by the users or people on the ground. So that has happened on Maithripala Sirisena's campaign. So I think in terms of social media in general, also in web campaigning, Maithripala Sirisena is leading. Now, second point I want to say is not on social media or web, but also on the physical world. Mainly now still in Sri Lanka, television is very powerful, and the newspapers. So they are also used by both campaigns to advertise heavily, but of course a government has upper hand because they have the control over some of the media as well as high budgets. Now in print media also we see unseen strategies. Sometimes Mahinda Rajapaksa advertised in the front page of daily newspapers. I think when the day of oaths, he advertised on the first page to show their war victory. Like it was actually like reamed up publishing of 2009 newspaper with even the same date, and when he was landing in Sri Lankan airport, kissing the ground. So this was pre-produced. People remind that he is the war winner. And I think Dimut mentioned about the posters. This is a main complaint against Mahinda Rajapaksa. He violated the election campaign rules by posting posters everywhere and violating environment as well as election rules. Handouts, public rallies are still very common, and door-to-door campaigning. This is mainly done by government because at least in the rural area, because maybe the ground situation is not very healthy for the opposition to campaign. So in general, government is spending a lot of money. Their budgets are high. They have people resources, and also they are using government resources, sometimes even illegally and unethically. However, the campaign is fought in both online and offline heavily, but in terms of online campaign, Maithripala Sirisena is leading. So we have Priyanta and Chintaga joined recently. So if you like to comment on the campaign, particularly online and as well as offline campaigning, I invite you to share your ideas. Chintaga joined from Scotland and Priyanta from Colombo. Unmute your mic and speak. Priyanta, any observation about campaigning? Chintaka?
Hello, yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
Yeah, campaigning. Obviously, I didn't have much time to look at the campaigning and stuff, but I had the
Anything
opportunity
else?
to look at some of the discussions. Sorry?
But you can talk about anything in general about elections. We already discussed, but you can talk anything you like about the presidential
Well,
election.
my interest is about what their policies and their plans
Okay.
are towards
Yeah.
developing
Then.
the economy.
Okay.
So when I was, whenever I was listening to the discussions and these so-called political discussions, my interest was to see how much they care about developing the economy and how much Sri Lankan economy has become inactive for the last 1.5 years. Sorry, for the last 1.5 months because of an election which I don't see here in UK happens, and I don't think they have made any economical type of decisions within this 1.5 months. It has been very inactive, and it's very unfortunate for the people because those are some of what I mainly looked at from the perspective of economy and what are their plans towards economy. I'm not very much interested in their
Okay.
policies because
Yeah.
I have read, in the past also I have read their, booklets and leaflets and stuff. I can
Okay.
remember I was reading this Mage Sammuti or something by Ranil Wickramasinghe back in 2000, and none of them worked. They were not practical. And the same thing happened with Mahinda Rajapaksa's Mahinda Chintana, became a total failure. Well, only one thing worked, which he promised to solve the problem of war, which we are very grateful to him. But apart from that, all the other policies towards developing the economy became a failure. Yeah, the political campaign. I didn't have much time to look at it, and since I was living here in UK for the last 5 years, I have seen it, and I'm kind of fed up with it, to be honest.
Okay.
I've had enough of it, looking at those posters and cutouts everywhere. Doesn't make any sense, even the things they're saying, and it's like they're making utopian schemes, which are not really practical. So that's my view about these political campaigns, and
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
that's
That's
yeah.
fine for the moment.
Just for
We'll
a start.
continue
Just for a
because
start.
yeah, I think we will have more relevant question for you in the next question. Will be very relevant to you. Priyanta, you want to say something? If you can speak. Okay. Anybody want to comment on the campaign? Go on to the next
Yes,
question.
because we can see that Mahinda Rajapaksa government using the government media for their campaign. They
Yeah.
also hired other media because for government media we pay the tax
Funded by
for.
people, yeah. Funded by taxpayers.
Yes, we are the taxpayers. Actually, this is the typical Asian culture. Anyway, we have to face those things, and those also happened in the last 2010 and the 2005 campaign also. This also that also happened. I think near next campaign also we can see whether it's under Mahinda or it's under Maithripala government. We can see also. We have to because this is the Asian culture and the posters also the Asian culture. We can see the next campaign what are the variations. Okay, that's my view. Any comments?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's more like South Asian. But now I don't know. Now, for example, if you look at manifesto, Maithripala Sirisena is talking about the entire change, entire political culture. let's see if in case if he wins, so we can see maybe assuming that he follows what he promised, we will be able to see maybe change political culture in the next election, 2020 or something. But it depends on whether he will win, and then again whether he will follow his promises. Okay, so we had Uttika Jasena joining from United States, but I think he left again. But anybody want to give final comments or final thoughts about campaigning?
Can I ask the question, or maybe make the observation, that no one has mentioned yet the military, and in the campaigning and in the voting in 48 hours' time, does anyone on the panel feel that the military will have a significant role or influence?
Anybody want to answer that? Okay, one thing I didn't really do a research or anything on that, but former Prime Minister, opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that government is kind of misusing military to campaign and to stop campaigning in the northeast by military in an illegal manner. And also now I also seen television channels like sometimes military interferes and says that what was discussed in that television program is incorrect. So, but we don't see really much in the urban areas where military is actively engaged in campaigning or anything. But as if you go with opposition leader, there has been some kind of intervention by the military in particularly in the north and east to avoid people to go and vote. But maybe there has always been complaints that military has been used for intimidating or kind of blocking or even using violence to block voters in the north and east. But I don't really have sufficient evidence on that. Any other observations?
Even the opposition, they don't have any sufficient evidence for that, but they're just claiming, I'm just blaming the government that they're using the military. And I saw in one of the television discussions, their debates, also they are like complaining that military is being used to, one thing is to stop the northern part people voting, and then for other stuff like putting cutouts and stuff also unfortunately being done by the military people.
But you should not forget that military is a main important player in all part of political dimension in the country. That is a part of, for example, what to do with the military is a discussion by the political leaders about their role. The second thing is military is in a lot of development projects, and she is criticized personally by the opposition for his role as the defense secretary. So military is a key element in Sri Lankan politics now. Of course, we then have the former army chief Sarath Fonseca as a key player in politics. So maybe 10 years ago, military was not really, even 15 years ago, it was not really key player, even though war was important aspect. But military has been or is now important player or element in all the political discussion. So it should be applicable to even campaigning.
Maybe I could just make the additional point that at the peak of the war in the north, there were about 250,000 people employed in the armed forces. 2 to 3 years after the last shot was fired, there was still over 200,000 people in the armed forces, which as an army is nearly 3 times the size of the UK army. So your current president must view them as maybe part of his toolkit or his strength in facing re-election.
No comments.
Well, I think one thing is if his brother is controlling the military at the moment. Yes, that we have to agree. So yeah, there the use of military towards his victory. I also think so. And why he's keeping 200,000 still? There can be few reasons for that. For the security of the north, that's one of the things. I think when the same question was asked by one of the international media, I think maybe he said that it's to control the north area, and still there are some threats coming, international threats or something coming. This propaganda is coming, and we need to be prepared to face. So, but yeah, still that's a good question to ask. Why you keep 200,000 people still? One thing maybe because of there are no more opportunities to give them different other jobs. That could be another thing. So they have already been employed by the government, and we don't need to make them redundant. So yeah, but that's a good question, and that's a good comparison compared to UK. You know, it's a very good picture about what's happening at the moment.
It should be part of the
Chaminda, I think
Did you say something?
your turn to be unclear.
Has it been blocked?
One has to ask the question, who is listening to Mr. Chaminda's telephone calls and watching his social media activity? Maybe he has made someone angry.
I hope he's alive there.
No one else seems to be talking. You can see I am paying homage to your president. I think that maybe he goes around for all these years because he does not know how to make a tie. You know, he has to leave it undone all the time because he doesn't know how to make a tie knot.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Chaminda, you have come back to us now.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me now?
Because he's been abducted.
Chaminda, we thought the president's men had come to take you away.
Hello. And so,
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Connection having difficulty. Discuss about the next question is
can't hear. Chaminda. Mr. Chaminda can't hear. Can you check the line? Okay, Mr. Chris, you can go ahead.
Well, we managed nearly 100 minutes, but maybe technology is now going to fail us.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, Chris, you yes, I think if you have any more ideas, or if there's anyone else got any ideas, you can continue. Charming is having some problems, I think. So let's
Well,
see.
as I am a
Sort it out.
citizen of the UK and a resident of England, I am going to make inquiries as to what are the qualifications to become president. So maybe in 4 or 5 years' time, I can be on the island to show people how campaigning can be done in the Western way. But that is not serious, of course.
All right. What are the qualifications in Sri Lanka? I don't think you need any qualifications, to be honest. So what do you think about the current situation in Sri Lanka at the moment when it comes to politics?
Well, I think that
I didn't listen to your first part of the discussion. So still you can.
I have already made the observation that I am more, I would like to see a new president because I think it would be good for the country, but I am more worried about the results of your present president losing than I am about him winning, because power is a great drug, and I do not know how not just your president will manage to lose the power if he does, but all his family as well. And that is why I asked the question earlier about the army, because there could be some very big problems in the days to come.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that after again we are left with no option. I mean, the two options we have, the government and the opposition, which they call the common candidate. I personally don't think they're both options. I mean, to take country ahead. But compared to the current government, when I asked the Sri Lankans, most of the Sri Lankans, their answer is not because they like